are, precious few heroes when it comes to the story of the war in Afghanistan, but I would like now to highlight just one, and probably the only hero. You know who I'm talking about? The last Jew in Afghanistan.
I love this guy.
This dude is so fucking cool.
Did you? Okay. I don't want to spoil it, but did you see the post that I retweeted about the guy who came to visit him?
About like the Monster Energy drinks on the hot plate?
Yeah, this fucking guy came to visit him all the way to Afghanistan, an American Jew, and was like, instantly, Zabulon's like, I need $20.
Yeah,
and he's like, okay, here. And then he takes these monster cans and puts them on a space heater to heat them up.
Like tea.
Dude, he's
like tea.
He
was making Monster Energy tea. Dude, This guy Zabulon.
He's the Jewish Pope. He's our Pope.
is the coolest Jewish guy on the planet. And he is the unambiguous hero of Afghanistan, in my opinion. And this latest story from Haaretz, Afghanistan's last Jew asked for money from rescuers, decides to remain in Kabul. This Jewish charity group that I guess exfiltrates Jews who are in danger from like hot spots in the world. They were like Zabulon, the Taliban's in control now. Like, please come to Israel. And he was like, yeah, okay. I got a lot of debts though. So he was like, can you fill that out? And they wouldn't do it for him. And you know what? A lot of people were like, okay, like there's the obvious joke to make about how stereotypical this is. But Zabulon is 1,000% right to ask for money from these assholes. Cause like them doing that would be a huge PR get for him. And they would trot him out and like do like media hits with him or whatever. God, is it really so much to ask that they just settle the guy's debts?
His debts can't be that much.
Well,
it's like a few $100s.
Also, it's like, I'm sorry. It doesn't like he has to worry about his credit score going down. He's probably just asking for money, and good. He's calling it debts, but at the end of the day, it's like, if you're gonna have me go out there to be your fucking mascot, you need to fucking pay me.
Yeah, I would pay. My open offer is like, Zabulon, I will, like, you can live in my guest bedroom and I will settle, whether your debts are real or not, I will help settle them. Like, cause I love you.
In that tweet thread about him, they had a story about somebody coming to see him. Somebody asked him if they were going to make tea for the guests. And he goes, no, it's Shabbos. While he was clicking on the television. He's like going through the channels going, it's Shabbos. I can't make tea.
Did you see the thing where it was like some fucking Israeli was trying to like, he was said, well, do you have a prayer you can say that's like a secret message for us to extract you? And Zabulon was just mumbling along with it because he can't really speak Hebrew. If that's not proof that he like deserves to be the Jewish Pope, that he doesn't know Hebrew, God, he's one of us. We need a fucking role model like him.
I just gotta go. I gotta go to this article because there's so many good things in it. It said Afghanistan's last known remaining Jew allegedly demanded a financial payment from a group of volunteers working to facilitate his evacuation from Kabul following the Taliban takeover this week, refusing to leave when his request was rebuffed. Israeli-American businessman Moti Kahana, who has been involved in several controversial high-profile exfiltrations of Jews from Middle Eastern countries, told Haaretz on Wednesday that while the 62-year-old Zabulon Simatov initially agreed to be evacuated, he subsequently conditioned his exit on the receipt of personal financing. I'm not paying Jews to save their own lives. I'm here to help. I'm not here to pay you to save your life, Kahana said. Simatov claimed to have some debts that he had to cover before he leaves. We're not in the business of covering debts. We're in the business of saving people's lives if they need to be saved, confirmed Rabbi Mendy Chitrik, the Istanbul chairman of the Alliance of Rabbis in Islamic States, and another participant in the aborted rescue mission. When the news about the Taliban came, he indicated that he wanted to leave, and we contacted the Turkish Foreign Ministry and Kahana and his team. But if he doesn't feel under threat, then it's totally up to him. We don't feel that there is a threat to his life. Then he goes here, in an interview with an Indian TV network aired on Tuesday, Simatov said that while he had the opportunity to flee to the United States, he had decided to remain behind in order to look after Afghanistan's last standing synagogue.
Which is like his house.
Yeah.
No, he lives there.
Yeah.
And then apparently the second to last Jew in Afghanistan, they both claimed ownership of the last synagogue, and they both lived in it, but drew a line down the middle and like split the house. And they were like, "Don't cross this line. This is my part of the synagogue," and would spend all day fighting with each other.
The two greatest people who've ever lived.
There's an amazing video of them yelling at each other. And
It's so fucking
Yeah,
funny.
when the older one goes, I will. This is supposed to be my friend. I will piss on your beard.
No, it's like the older guy who's dead now is being interviewed by a TV crew.
گفت خب زولان باز ریزنی کرد زولان گفتی بشه از اون رو شما بیا چرا دو میزنی زولان دیونه شدی چی بلا گپ بدی نگفتم من به تو گفتم صدر دینی میگه بیا یه براش تار بزن چی دو میزنی زولان من تو چی گفتم من تو را اینو چی میگه اینه من به تک برای تک کپی ندارم اینه دان اینجا شیشه بیادش پرسان کن دان اینجا شیشه بیا پرسان کن این من برای تو چی گفتم زولان دیونه شدی چی بلا من به تو بدی نگفتم دان اینجا شاشته اینه یه سال نان میخوره بیا من به تو گپ بدی نگفتم دو میزنی دیگه چی کار داری پدر میگی مرده میگی زن میگی فاش میگی هر چی میخوای میگی چرا بیگناه بشی تقصیر اسرائیلی چی شد افریقی چی شد دوستی رفیقی چی شد به نکی با پدرت کردم با مادرت کردم با برادرت کردم تو که یک بار هم برباد کردی.
And like he's sitting there and he's giving an interview, and then you hear Zabulon just outside of frame yelling at him and just insulting him and just going, "Goy, triple goy, debauch goy." And then he's like, "Why do you always do this? You scare away all my customers. Why do you keep calling me a goy?" We said, "Why?" And then he goes, "Why not call me a pimp or sorcerer?"
Oh man, God damn.
And you know what? He doesn't have to sweat it. If he won't pay him, he doesn't have to worry about that shit because the Taliban has already imprisoned him once and they let him go because he was too annoying.
Yeah, I think there was they talked to a Taliban guy about this, and the guy couldn't help it. He burst into a grin. Everyone loves this guy. Even if they put him in prison, they're like, "Oh, it's Zabulon."
And there's another article. This is from the Forward a couple years ago. There's a lot of good color about him here too. It says there is a good amount of information already available on Simatov, given his newsworthy title as Afghanistan's last remaining Jew. He always wears a kippah and observes the Jewish Sabbath, though he will watch television if a non-Jew has turned it on for him. He lives in Afghanistan's last standing synagogue, which he renovated himself in the heart of Kabul's Flower District. Every Shabbat, he reads Torah from the bimah of the old sanctuary. He hates the Taliban and is on a quest to reclaim a Torah stolen by its interior ministry. He allegedly charges a pretty penny or euro for interviews. And it goes, everybody in the streets knows him, one neighbor told Faraz. He is very salient, and sometimes he is very choleric, but we have fun with him. And this is another detail I really like. When the Taliban took over Afghanistan in the late 1990s, Simantov went to Israel with his family, where his wife and daughters and sisters now live, but returned to Kabul after just 2 months. "I did not want to stay there. Afghanistan is my homeland," he told Foreign Policy.
My man, dude.
It's like that, that's how fucking annoying Israelis are.
Yeah, even probably one of the most annoying guys in the world was like, ugh. No thanks. He was like, these guys suck.
When he returned, Simantov encountered Yitzhak Levi, nearly 2 decades his senior, living at the Kabul synagogue. The two did not hit it off. They fought viciously about which of them was the rightful owner of the land, according to a 2017 Jewish Telegraphic Agency profile of Simantov. They moved into different wings of the synagogue. In 1998, Levy wrote to the Taliban interior minister to accuse Simantov of theft of Jewish relics. Simantov retorted by telling the Taliban that Levy ran a secret brothel where he sold alcohol, which Levy denies. Simantov also spread rumors that Levy had converted to Islam, which Levy denied as well. "I don't talk to him. He's the devil," Simantov told the New York Times in 2002. "A dog is better than him. I don't have many complaints about I don't have many complaints about the Taliban, but I have a lot of complaints about him." He goes, the Taliban was so annoyed by their constant fighting that they threw them in jail, but they eventually kicked them out when they continued to fight inside the prison. He goes, the Taliban beat me a lot, Simintov told Foreign Policy. I was in prison several times because of this charlatan. He wanted to get rid of me to sell the synagogue, but thank God he was not successful. He goes, I am a man with no fear. I will never leave Afghanistan because of the Taliban or anyone else, Simintov told Foreign Policy. When Feroz asked the Taliban official about Simintov and Levi, he could not hide his grin. Yes, I remember them. They caused me a lot of problems, he said. Dude, God damn it. Like, this guy, like I said, hero, unambiguous hero. I am a man without fear. He says that there's nothing the Taliban that can do to me that this awful, awful old man who is lower than a dog has not already done to me.
Dude, this is a true, like, that's it. That's what, like, Judaism is supposed to be. It's like,
This is the
life or
Maccabees.
death. Yeah, like, life or death. That's in God's hands. Life or death, it's like, whatever happens, happens. If it's my time, it's my time. That's up to God. Don't sweat the big things. The small things, who lives in the synagogue, who's like, accuse this guy of being a fucking sorcerer and shit. Like, that's all you care about. That's what's keeping you alive. And like, that's true. That's what it's supposed to be. If I could explain Judaism to, those of our listeners who like grew up in fucking like, Idaho or some shit, that's what it's what it's supposed to be is don't sweat the big stuff, sweat the small stuff. The big stuff, that's all God. That's all God. That's all in his hands. Everything else, you can be the most annoying fucking person in the world. But there's something beautiful in that too. That's what God wants. And this is, we've never really had a pope before, but this is him. Everyone thinks they're David. Every Israeli who like gets in there and like fucking plays Call of Duty, inflicts fucking terrible war crimes on people. I'm in the spirit of David. Every Israeli who like goes to a university to study how you could put Molly into a hamburger. I'm Solomon. I'm wise like Solomon. No, this is David. This is David. Because David was fearless because he was like, hey, God's got me. And if he doesn't, that's God's hands too. But stuff like, I want to fuck my friend's wife. That's what that's what like all my energy that isn't being put into fearlessness and combat and all that. It's going into this. It's going into being a fucking prick in the smallest ways possible. And that's life. That's what makes us human.
King Solomon, before he famously decided, who is the rightful mother of a baby, he was just like, I will adjudicate this matter. But first, if you could just pay a small fee to have a tour of the temple.
Yeah. This guy, man, he really doesn't want to leave because it's like he's got too much. He reminds me of my grandmother so much in so many ways. Where it's like she's like 101. She's seen all this shit, and she's like, what's keeping her going? Oh, like there's some weird thing with like someone that goes to a restaurant that she knows. That keeps you going, and like I want, in my heart, like I want to get him out. I would let him live with me for however long, but I know he's not going to go because he needs to keep doing this shit. This is what he's about. Everyone thinks they can rescue Zabulon. He doesn't need rescuing. He's doing exactly what he wants to do. He's a beautiful man.
And he's living his best life.
Really I love the Israeli like rescue rangers that tried to get him out of Afghanistan. They were like obviously only doing this for like a propaganda.
Oh yeah,
victory. And like all the fucking American like pro-Israel groups that are like so worried about college campuses and they're like, oh, hip hop clubs are brainwashing our kids to hate Israel. It's like they wouldn't touch this guy with a 10-foot pole because he has no use for Israel. He's like, no, like I guess unlike Israel, my people have been living in Afghanistan for 1,000 years. Mm-hmm. This is my homeland. I don't need your fucking made up one.
No Israeli could understand like actual courage, which this guy actually has. This guy's really about it.
Pay the man.
Dude, I wish. Is there any way to like cash app Zabulon?
Yeah,
I like
let's
would,
hit his
man.
line.
I like want to. Next time, if they put him in prison again, I want to put money on his books. I don't know if they have that over there. Probably not. But like, I literally, man, if there was a way for me to just like PayPal him, I would. Someone let me know. Everyone out there, don't pretend to be Zabulon and trick me. I'll know. I'll ask you riddles.
It did say the Taliban did steal the copy of the Torah from the synagogue that was like from the 15th century, and I think they've like auctioned it off on some international black market. But Zebulon has dedicated the rest of his life to gaining back that Torah, taking it back for his synagogue.
I hope he succeeds. I really do. And no, Zebulon, you don't need my blessing. We both know whatever happens is in God's hands, but we love you, and you are our Pope.
من گویی من نصارا من گابر من ترسات تو خوب او یلا کار من دیگه یلا کار من هر چی که تو میگی من هستم چی میگی زده من یلا کن تو خوب من بعد
گوش نمیکنم
من بعد سگ وارینو به جون میفته ببینی چی میگه
گوش نمیکنم
من مثل گپی ندارم میگو سعددین گفتم سعددین گفتم زولان گفتی پیش دو بره تو خواب پیش دو بره تو به جان من میده پدر مرده بزنده فاش کنی میگی